Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm back with one more interview video, which is a real live interview. So in this video you can notice that my audio is not that clear, and I did try to do everything in editing, but this was all that I could do. So just bear with it. And before we move on to the interview part, if you're new to my channel, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Now let's see what the interview was like. You said Java 8 is what you are currently working on, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what is the latest release of Java, or are you aware of?
Java, I think Java 17 is available, I think, latest.
Okay. So, why do you think we are not using any upper versions than Java 8?
Okay, so most of the companies, like, we are already like having the old projects, it was built some years back, and that is one reason. And one more thing is Java 8 has a lot of new things got added in Java 8. That is the main change in Java 8. After that, there are some new changes, smaller changes has been introduced. So in most of the like in my previous company and all, like we are using Java 11 actually. So, but
Okay.
the
So,
companies, I think, what I think is like they prefer to give like use more already used the standard version long time it should work, right? So that's
okay, okay. So, are you aware of the newer versions, like the new features that were introduced in those releases? Are you aware of all that?
Java 9 or 10. I know, in optional class, like in Java 8, only if present was there, then they have introduced if present or else.
Mhm.
That is introduced in Java 9 or Java 9 10. That is something. And apart from that, garbage collectors, I think it is two, three garbage collector was introduced in Java 8. Previously, like we are having only one garbage collector. Mm,
Okay, so what were the new garbage collectors introduced in Java 8?
Okay, so in Java 8, functional interface has been introduced. So we are having lambdas has been introduced, and apart from that, method references are introduced, and mm,
Uh, Actually, my
stream
question
API.
is, you said there were new garbage collectors introduced in Java 8. So
Okay,
what
okay.
were the new garbage collectors?
Okay, the new garbage collector, one is parallel garbage collector has been introduced, and CMS garbage collector, and G1 garbage collector.
So I think they were already there. Isn't that the case?
Uh, Java 7, Oracle JDK, it was not there, I guess. So, Open JDKs were having that G1 garbage collector, as I know.
Are you talking about the default garbage collector, or only the garbage collector that we can use with a particular version?
Uh, Default garbage collector, yeah, like I was talking about, like in Java up to Java 7, like we are having one default garbage collector. And I was used one more Azul garbage collector, like G1 garbage collector was there. That time I was configuring for Java 7. That was
Okay.
a open JDK Azul. So there they had.
So are you aware about Z garbage collector?
Mm,
No? Okay. No issues. Okay, then you said functional interfaces and lambda expressions. So why do you think it was introduced in Java 8?
Okay, in Java 8, it one
So
thing is
like,
like
My
Mainly
question
it will, yeah.
Yeah, let me simplify. My question is, why should we use lambda expressions? Like, what is the benefit are we getting?
Okay. So for lambda expressions, I'll just share my screen and in Notepad, can I show you like it would be
You can do that, but it's a theoretical question, Sunil.
okay.
So you just
So
have to tell me, like, why do you think as a developer we should use lambda expressions? Like, what what help do they like? What are we getting from it?
lambda expressions like mainly like it will decrease the length of code that we are writing. Let's say like we are having a list of employees or something like that, and we can use filter or something so that we don't have to write the method name here. Like let's say like here we are having it or
Okay.
so like here, basically, like we are calling the test method. Okay.
Mhm.
But like we are not mentioning that test method in here because only one method is available in predicator.
Okay. So functional interfaces of programming, as per you, were introduced in Java 8. So did we had any functional interface before Java 8, or was this a new concept entirely?
That is the new concept, functional interface.
Okay. Okay. So let's say that we have to create a thread using lambda expressions. So can you write me a simple line of code to implement that?
Okay. So I'll use executor service.
Okay. So executor service here. What is it? Is it a class interface? Um, I think you're
Uh,
not audible anymore.
okay. So
Yeah, now I,
executor okay, so executor service is the class that will accept that will be having execute method. Okay,
uh
so there I can pass the runnable interface to start the thread. So here, it will be having runnable run method. So there I can just give like this. It will call the run method and
okay.
here I can print anything.
Okay, so I got it here. So, Sunil, can you tell me like how many methods are there in runnable interface?
Runnable interface on only run method is there.
Okay, so is it an abstract method or non-abstract method?
It's an abstract method.
Okay, and what do we call a function interface? Like, what is the primary requirement, or prerequisite?
Functional interface is the interface which is having only one abstract method. It can
Okay,
have different methods, but only one.
so do you think runnable interface here is a function interface?
Which one runnable?
Yeah.
Runnable, like it was available in Java 7 also. I think that's why like it was not annotated as a functional interface, but it is having only one method run, so it is functional interface.
Okay, and is it mandatory to annotate a function interface with the annotation?
No, it is not mandatory. At the rate functional interface, if we annotate that one, then it will give compile time error if we add one more abstract method. So it is only for compile time use.
Okay, okay, okay. So let's move on. So, what is the most comfortable topic for you in Java?
Uh, Java, usually day-to-day activities, I use collections, hash map, set lists, and all. And apart from that, I use more streams as well for all the processing, everything.
Okay, so let's start with collections then. Okay, so hash map. So you said you're using hash maps. So, in which scenarios do you think hash map works better? Like, if I say about performance, so in which
Okay.
scenario do I think that hash map will perform better than the other collections?
So hash map, it will work better when we are having uh, less insertions and more like fetching the data. Like if you're using more get methods, so that time it will be more it will use only a big O of n, not n one. So it will directly get the element in the most of the cases
Uh, as in
and complexity.
insertion will be worst in this hash map.
Insertion it is not worse but the only thing is it has to when there is reached that load factor it will be having that buckets are full that time again it has to create extra buckets and it has to reallocate rearrange the data element so that is a little bit costly uh,
Okay, so what is the
insertion.
complexity of get operation and put operation in hash map?
So get operation, it is complexity of one in good case, and in the
Mhm.
worst case, it will become O of n because let's say there is a uh, what this one hash collisions are there. So that time it has to go each and every element in the single bucket and it has to search equality and it has to get it. So that's why that is the worst case. And
Are
that is
you
for
sure?
get.
Are you sure in case of collision it is going to be O of n?
If all elements are in collision, so that time it will become like that.
Okay, so what do you think are we using as an internal data structure for collisions? Or is
Internal,
it an
okay.
hash? Is it a hash map still?
Actually previously before Java 8, I guess it was linked list inside
Mm-hmm.
the single bucket. But after that, I know that there is some tree map or uh, something. I think tree map only, it will be used inside.
Okay, and
But
what
I'm
is going
not
to
sure.
be, yeah, that's okay. So let's say it's tree map. So what is going to be the complexity? Is it going to be O of n?
Mm, no. That time, for insertion itself, it will use it will sort it and it will uh, do the storage. So that time, I think if we are doing the divide and conquer, so it will become log n. So log n would be the complexity.
How about performance between hash table and hash map? So which one do you think is going to perform in which scenarios? Like perform better?
Hash map and
Hash table.
hash table. So. Uh, Hash map, it will give the good performance, like a hash table, like it was synchronized and it will give like a good performance.
Okay, so in
And
case of synchronization, we will get better performance with hash table. Are you saying that?
mm, if we need synchronization, in the multi-threaded environment, so that time it is better to go with the concurrent hash map because so that bucket level blocking will happen for that. But hash table, it will be having complete table will be hash table will be blocked.
Okay, and if we have a non multi-threaded environment, let's say single threaded
Okay.
only. So in that
Okay.
case, which one will be better, hash map or hash table
Hash
in
map.
terms of performance? Okay, hash map. Okay, got it. So let me give you one simple coding problem. So let's say I have a linked list, custom linked list class, and what I want to do is I just want to reverse that linked list. So you just have to write a code for it. Yeah, tell me.
Uh, I didn't get the exact question. Like I have to create a custom linked list and then.
Okay, so let's say that you don't have the linked list functionality with Java, right? So
Okay.
you don't
Okay.
have the already existing methods. What you have is you have your own class
Hmm.
named linked list, right?
Okay.
So there you have to have some operations, but here we don't require that because here we just want to have, let's say, there is a linked list starting from one, ending with five, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So you just
Okay.
have to reverse this linked list from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how will
Okay.
you
I have
reverse
to
that?
traverse that reverse
Yeah.
in the reverse manner. Okay.
Also, you don't have to write the code. If you can just tell me like what do you think like we can apply as a logic here.
Okay. So for the linked list, I have to create one class with having the data and the pointer to the next node. That is for the class. And for traversing in reverse, what I'll do is I'll use recursion. Okay, so when there is a pointer is until it becomes null, I'll just go through the next like I'll call the same recursive call, and once I get the pointer as null, so that time like I'll start printing in the next level, so that each recursion call when it is coming back, so it will print the data. So like it will be recursively printed.
Okay, but here we don't have to print the list. Here we have to reverse the linked list. As in, let's say there is a data object storing this value from 1 to 5. You have to modify the value of that object from 5 to 1.
5 to 1. Okay, got it. So that time what I have to do is okay, if I go in a recursive this
Okay, let me give you a hint here. So maybe we don't need a single pointer. Maybe we need two pointers here.
okay,
Can you go
doubly
with
linked
that?
list. Yeah, if it is doubly linked list, then it is easy. Like we can
No, no,
like we'll be
it's
having.
not. It's not doubly linked list. I'm just saying, let's say you have two pointers for a node.
Okay, okay, okay. For single node, we can have two pointers. That's the same. Okay. So what can be done is like from the like first I have to traverse in the recursive call from 1 to 5. Then when I reach that 5, so that time like anyway pointer next pointer will be null. So that time like I should be having the previous node also, so that I can start linking from this end element to the next element like in the recursive way. Do you want me to write a code for that? Like just recursive method.
Okay, so you have previous pointer, you have current next pointer, right? So you're saying with this we can have a recursive call, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and is it possible to have three pointers here?
three pointers. Uh,
Can you think of a logic with three pointers?
okay. I think a three pointer is not required, I guess. Like if we are having, uh, like if we are not going it the recursive way, so if other way, mm, like current and previous will be required. If we are having the next also next node, so that the next to current and current to previous.
Okay,
I think maybe
so
we can have previous previous current and next nodes pointer.
okay, okay. Have you worked on Spring Boot?
Yeah,
Okay, so which version are you using?
Spring Boot 2,
Two. So are you aware about
2.0 something.
the new features that were introduced in two?
Mm, I don't know. Actually, like I'm using like normal microservices and all I have created, but I haven't much gone through the difference between Spring Boot 1 and 2.
Okay, so what is the latest release right now in Spring Boot?
Uh, Just I think 2.3 or 2.4 maybe. Like I'm not sure.
Why should I use Spring Boot when I already had Spring?
Okay. So in Spring Boot, there are some of the things made easier, like auto configuration. If that particular jar is available on the class path, it will automatically configure and it will create the beans or like what it will basically the configuration will be automatic. If you are not creating the configuration also, so that is one thing. And apart from that, we are having conditional annotations like conditional on being or conditional on class or like that conditional on properties. These are the new annotations has been introduced in Spring Boot. And microservices are also become famous after the introduction of the Spring Boot, Netflix libraries and all is introduced with the Spring Boot only.
Okay, so can we use microservices with Spring framework?
Yeah, that can be achievable, but the maybe we cannot able to use the libraries, some of the libraries. I was telling Netflix libraries those might not be available for Spring.
Okay, but does microservices architecture require Spring Boot libraries?
Mm, No, that is not mandatory. Like we can do that using my Spring also.
Okay. Okay, so okay, let's start with Spring Boot then. So you said there are new annotations also, like you said, conditional on being,
Yes.
and let's say that I want to just have a simple standalone application, as in I just have a main class with me, and I just want to create a demo so that I can introduce Spring Boot to some new developers. So,
Okay.
what do you think is going to be the first or the most important annotation here?
Okay, here first most important annotation is at the rate Spring Boot application. Like we are annotating that in the main function class.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why do we require this? Like, what does it help? Why should we
This
use it?
okay, this one like it will basically like it will start the Spring application container. So that will start from here. And at the rate Spring Boot application, it is composed of three annotations. Like one is auto configuration and mm, configuration and component scanning. And one more is that.
Okay, no issues. Okay, so let's say that I want to have an application which I want to let's say deploy in my three environments. So I have my dev environment, test environment, and then I have my production environment. And let's say I have created a new feature. but I don't want to deploy it in production directly. So I want to have a single jar or war file, whatever you say. So I have to have a single executable deployable file with me, and I don't want to modify that file, but I need
Okay.
something so that I can have three set of configuration for these environments, because these three environments will have three different databases, right? So how will you
Yes.
configure this?
Yeah, so for that, like we can have the like application properties, file properties or YML files for setting the values for the database connections, and if there are different microservices, it's interacting on everything. Like we can configure for different for dev, test, and production, and we can enable that profile in that particular environments so that it will use
So
that.
okay, so here are we using three different application properties file for each environment or a single one?
Three different ones.
Okay, so you said YAML and you said properties. So which one is better? Like which one we should use?
Uh, like better one is like I think YML only because there is no redundancy will be there. That means like if you are creating some properties with let's say A dot B like that, and here one more A dot
Mhm.
C. This is let's say like we are doing with the properties, but when we are working with YML, what we do is we will be having one property, then in the next level we'll be having B, and like there is no duplication of A basically, like this it will be there, so that there is no duplication, and that is the latest that is like.
Okay, okay. So let's say that I have to create a RESTful application and with Spring Boot, obviously. So let's say I just have to provide entities as a response, right? So let's say I have few operations as in CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete operations. So first tell me like which HTTP method will you use for each operation, and then we will move forward.
Okay. So for creating the data, so I'll use post, and updating I'll use put, and for delete operation like I'll use delete mapping, and for getting the based on ID if I want to fetch some details, so I'll use the get mapping,
Okay,
get call
so
method.
okay, so what I understand here is for delete operations, for creating and updating operations, what I'm doing is I'm updating the data in the database, right? So that can be possible using post HTTP method as well. Like I can do these three operations using post HTTP method. But
E-
as per your answer, we are using put and delete also. So why?
Yeah, that can be like we can use post also, but according to the REST API standards, like for these different operations, we can use different methods so that we don't have to write the different this path. Let's say like we are having employee like we are having we'll be having let's local host, and 8080, and here we are having ELP. So using the single path, we can have multiple methods. Like for creation also, we can use the same path, and we can use the same path for update also. We can use the same one for the delete also. Just we have to change the method so that it will be achievable. But if you are going with the only post mapping, then we should be having different paths or something to all the different uh, that methods.
Okay, okay. Okay, so let's take this forward. So let's say you have these four operations, and what you need to do is after each operation is done, you have to return something as a response. And when we talk about RESTful, what do we see? Like there is a consumer, there is a producer, right? So
Mm.
what kind of data will you produce, or what type?
Uh, okay, so there will be a consumer and here it's the producer.
So
Okay, so the
let's say, let me simplify this. Let's say we are talking about get operations. So
okay,
let's say I have my employee list as a result. So you have to
okay.
pass on this list of employee
Mm.
to our consumer, right? So how will you provide
Yeah.
this data, list of employees?
Okay. So once I get the list of employees from the database, and then I'll put that in the response entity, and there I'll set the status as 200, and I'll set this response body as this list of employees, and I'll send it back.
Okay, but is it possible that your database is empty, or there might be some exception connecting to your database, right? Like it could be like your
Mm.
server is down. So
Mm.
how will you figure that out, and what kind of response will you send in those scenarios?
Okay. So, for that, if there is anything happening inside the server, some issue, so that time, like I had to send back the 500 server error, and
So
the
what does
response that
500 what does 500
500,
stands for?
500, it is if there is any server encountered with some technical issues. So,
Hmm. Okay, but in that case, if you send 500 back, then the consumer will not be able to pinpoint whether it was the server error or the database error or maybe some other kind of error, right? So how will you help
yeah.
consumer pinpoint that?
One thing is like why I said like 500, because like what I thought is like we have to hide that information from the consumer, because like if we are exposing that to public, so that time like we shouldn't give the information to the public that what is happening inside the server. But if you are using like internal microservice communication, so that time like we can give that information, we can give in the response body, we can have like a global exception handling in the spring boot, so
Uh,
there we can.
So with global exception handling, what we are going to do is we are just handling those exceptions. My question was that you have to send something as a response which will help identify the consumer that okay, because of this we are not able to connect or not able to get the data. Right? So it doesn't have to be a stack trace. It is just going to be a simple message saying because of this we are not able to perform some kind of operation. How are you going to do that?
Okay.
So
Mm.
I think you might have used some e-commerce websites or maybe GitHub something. So there, if you see the 404 or 500 error are pretty common, but sometimes you also see some relevant information in few websites saying that the product information is not available or something like that, right? Because that is for your end user. But if there are
Okay.
two applications communicating with each other, which means there are two
Mm.
set of developers, so they need to know what error are they getting, right?
So yeah, so that time like I'll give the bad request error 400 the bad request, and like whatever they are sending, so that information is not available, or that is not valid, like that I can give the error.
Okay, but again, it is not helping because here you didn't say whether it was from the database or because of server error. How will you pinpoint
Mm.
that in your code?
Okay.
My question is, if you are getting a list of employees from your database, then anything can happen. And you have to handle all those scenarios in your code. You have to handle every scenario, right? Every possible scenarios. And then you have
Yes,
to send the response back depending on those scenarios.
correct. So there, I have to see what are the kind of exceptions that I'm getting. Like if I'm getting the
Exactly.
exception at repository layer, so then that could be database connectivity issue or kind of that. So based on the exception, I have to catch and I have to give the particular customized exception on that.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so let's move towards microservices, which is going to be the last topic. And you said you are already aware about it. So, with microservices, like, what do you think? In which scenarios should we use microservices? Because right now these are very popular nowadays, but it also creates problems in few scenarios. So, do you know what those scenarios are?
Like in microservices, yes, some of the issues that we face usually is we'll be having when we are having multiple instances. So that time, uh, let's say two, we are having some schedulers that may execute in both of the service, and it would create some duplicate things or duplicate process, that kind of issue. And one more thing is a transactional problem. If we are having in a series 4 5 services are getting called, and so that time if there is one service got failed at the end, fourth or fifth service, so that time it is difficult to roll back the previous changes it is already committed to database. So these kind of issues will be having in microservice.
Okay, and why should we use microservices? Like, what's the benefit?
The benefit is mainly we are dividing a big service it into a smaller service, so that each services it will be having its own responsibility, and so that if there is any issue with the service or if there is any fix we have to deliver, so only single that application it will be down, so that we can all other services will be available, and the different teams can work with the different technology. Like each services can be in a different technology also, and it will be having its own build, and that CI/CD process it will be having the separate, so that will be easier, and it will be having more fault tolerance. Let's say when we are having multiple instances, so one if one instance is down, another instance will be up, and it will be processing like that. So this kind of advantages there over in the microservice.
Okay, so my last question would be, let's say if there are two microservices and I just need to send or receive data from each one of them. Like, I just want to have a communication in between these two microservices. So how will you do that?
Okay. So when there are two microservers needs to communicate, so usually in Netflix libraries if you are using, so that time we'll be having authentication server, and one more is a Eureka server for registering the server instances. So
Let's say you don't have to do any kind of authentication. Let's say one microservices service has to send the data, another one has to receive. So how will you do that?
okay. So that time we can just have a simple REST API call from in the consumer, we can have the REST template, and we can give the URL and whatever the payload we can create it, and we can do the call to the server, another server. There we have to expose that endpoint.
Okay, got it. Okay, so this was all what I had from my side. So do you have any questions for me?
No.
No? Okay, it was great talking with you. So I wish you good luck and thanks again for joining this interview.